we received a listener question. How much money do we need up front to sell our home? This is from Jeremy and Mary in Peachtree Corners. The reality is that you don't really have to have anything up front to sell your home. Most of the costs associated with selling a home on the front end typically fall on the buyer. In Georgia, by the way, all of the closing costs in the purchase agreement, the Georgia Association of Realtors purchase agreement, are to be borne by the buyer. Now, that doesn't mean that the buyer can't ask the seller to contribute to a portion of those costs. But what the seller must incur is all of the cost associated with providing good and marketable title to a buyer at closing. That is a insurance term, good and marketable, meaning to provide a title to a buyer that would be insurable by an insurance company licensed to do business in the state of Georgia. The buyer is going to pay for home inspections and appraisal, which are two of the most common out-of-pocket fees that have to be paid before closing. And the seller, again, will typically incur some closing costs. In a lot of states, sometimes the sellers pay half and the buyers pay half. But here, the seller is going to pay for any repairs if they agree to make them. They're going to pay for the title search and the title binder. They're typically going to pay the real estate agent's commission. They'll probably pay for an HOA letter and possibly pay to pay off the mortgage and to record the satisfaction of the security deed. All those are title-related items. If that just sounded like a bunch of gobbledygook, you're just going to pay everything that's required to be able to show to the buyer, hey, you have a clean, clear title to this property, and your ownership is going to be protected for years and years. Sometimes the seller will pay for a home warranty, certainly have to pay any unpaid HOA dues. If it's a mandatory HOA, they'll pay their prorated share of property taxes. And that is a little sometimes concerning to a seller because you've been escrowing your property taxes with your current mortgage, which means you've got $3,000, just as an example, sitting there to pay the taxes when they come due, for example, let's say October. And now you have to pay your share of the property taxes again. And sometimes that can be just a little much. But don't worry about it. Within 30 days, you're going to get a refund of your escrow account anyway. You're going to have to pay any past due property taxes if you have it, HOA resale disclosures, transfer fees if they're required, and then again, recording charges to clear all documents of record against the seller. If the loan is in the seller's name, you got to pay all that off. As long as you have the equity in your home to sell it and satisfy these costs at the closing table, you really shouldn't need to pay any out-of-pocket cash to sell your home. Certainly, closing costs on a home will vary depending upon the terms of the contract, but it's typically what debts or obligations the seller has secured by the property, the mortgage balance, and also which title insurance company. In the state of Georgia, you don't close with title insurance companies, you close with closing attorneys who also represent the title insurance company. So, do you need money to sell your house in Georgia? The answer is no.